Um, what's happening, my people? Welcome back to Questions and Reason. I am your host, Manaka Anthony Rapahasha. It's the R baby, it's the RMIG. Today we're talking education, learning, tudo in my language for those people that speak Sotho or Tswana or Pedi. Alright, so today before I get started, I just want to do a little bit of advertising. Okay, so this is my book, Enemy of the State. It's out on Amazon. If you see this cover on Amazon, purchase, support your boy. You know what it is, bro. And I started a podcast, like I've been saying for years. I've been on it. Let me just try and showcase that. Okay, so YouTube. It's on YouTube, guys. So on YouTube, just type Dipina. Dipina is Dipina. That means music in my language. Go to the channel. It should look something like this. So it's a music channel. I've been doing some compositions. A lot of people like the compositions, but it takes a lot of work to compose music. A lot of composers would know this. It takes time. As you can see, most of the stuff I updated a while ago, and I'm working on stuff, but it's not ready. Okay, so you can go through it, listen to some of my compositions, and I also have Daliano singing here. We did an interview right here on Questions and Reason, so I just separated some of the songs and added some of the songs that we didn't have. The podcast, this is the Dipina podcast right here. So yeah, man, I'm gonna be dropping a whole lot of stuff. Like I said, that Questions and Reason is not really for making money, but Dipina is. So make sure when you watch your videos, don't skip the ads. All right, subscribe, like, support your boy. All right, so with YouTube, you really don't have to spend money, just have to watch the ad, and I get paid from that. All right, the media doesn't just have questions anymore, it has questions and reason. Let's get started. What are we talking about today? We're talking learning, education, bro. Learning. Okay. As you know, we like to start with a brief history of whatever topic that we are tackling so that we can actually have historical context. It helps out a lot in understanding why we are here now, or why we are here and what happened before, and then maybe what the future might look like from here. So we are talking learning. Learning should be constant. I know a lot of people just want to have fun and party and stuff like that. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm saying that shouldn't take all of your time, that you don't find yourself learning. Otherwise, you're just gonna grow in age, but you won't mature as you should mature. Okay, so let's talk learning. So back in the day when there were tribes and small communities, basic stuff to learn were besides you as a baby imitating people, observing how they walk and trying to imitate that, besides that, there was or oral traditions. This is an informal way of learning. So people would tell stories so that we get attributes in those stories, and then become better people in a way by getting the values of the characters and try to learn where they went wrong and stuff like that. So oral traditions were passed from generations to generation. So it was a form of storytelling where people would sit around and then share stories, and in these stories there were a lot of knowledge. And yeah, and when it come to skills, so this was more knowledge based, more on knowledge based. Okay. And then when it came to training people, it was more of an apprenticeship. This means that you spend time with a person who has the knowledge, the experience, the skill of doing the work, and you do it along. So you are looking at them. Maybe this is a person who is good in hunting, survival skills. So yeah, survival skills were necessary living in those type of tribes, right? Anyway, so you would look at this person hunting or training to be a militant, and you would join in and do whatever they're doing, and then they will get to show you what you're doing wrong. So you have like a mentor sort of situation where when you are going wrong, you know they get to tell you that okay, you are doing 1 2 3 4 wrong, and then you get to change it until it was practice. You observe, you practice, you observe, you practice. So first hand, right? In this type of setup, it is easier to grasp the information because it's more practical and you can relate to it. And a lot of education, a lot of what is wrong with the education now is that people from privilege, okay, we'll get to that. I don't want to skip the history, okay? So, apprenticeship, you get to have survival skills like hunting, fishing, and making woodworks and learning how to build your own house. People used to build their own houses from scratch. Like they didn't need an architect and somebody to come and survey the place and municipal plans, so you know where the pipes are, stuff like that. So you just get a spot and then you build your own house, and that's it. That's why the people didn't depend a lot on a certain system. I mean, right now you take a bond, you spend 20 years paying the bond. That's a form of slavery, but yeah, it is what it is. Okay, so oral traditions were knowledge based and trying to build the character of the person, the confidence, and all these kind of things. And then you had apprenticeship, where you get to spend your days with professionals in those areas, and then you get to deal, which is lovely because you get to create new relationships with experienced people, and when you're struggling, it is easier to just call them and say, yo, can you come and help me out, which is a big win, right? Okay. And then education became more formalized. As we see Egyptian, they were obsessed with learning triangles. We see the pyramids, and I mean triangles, and we are thankful because of their curiosity. Triangles now play a huge role in architecture in navigation, in other forms of science. I mean, we even have a mathematical, you know, dedication of that concept, trigonometry. Trigonometry, right? So, trigonometry is the study of triangles. It's just more formalized in school and stuff like that. Yeah. So I was saying that it wasn't really formal back in the day, but then once they got to have this curiosity and saw the potential of learning algebra, triangles, and what they contributed to the civilization, then they decided to document, and this is when literacy comes into play, right? Literacy. Tools of literacy. Ugh. Tools of literacy. Yeah. So, tools of literacy meant that somebody who knows the work gets to document it on something, maybe a tablet, a paper, or whatever. And then for those that don't have to, you know, I mean, that doesn't have the knowledge, they can go and learn how to translate whatever is written on a tablet, on a piece of paper, or whatever source that was, and interpret it and try to expand it in their own way. So this was a much better setup than this one, than the oral traditions, because if you're telling a story, if person A tells a story to B, right? When B tells the story, they might leave some stuff out. They might leave some stuff out. Or tell it according to their own interpretation. According to their interpretation, not according to what? Not according to how the person said it. So it won't be the exact same story. And over time, the story can be distorted, or the original message of why this was shared can be lost. So when now you have something like a tablet or a piece of paper where you can write, it's easier to preserve knowledge in that way. So we've seen a whole lot of structures rising, sophisticated architecture in Mesopotamia, in that's ancient Babylon, in Egypt, in Greece. That's because these are the guys who decided to take whatever knowledge that was being gathered and make it formal. Not just formal, but expand the knowledge. So they were not just people who come and take, but they were also contributors. I mean, when trigonometry reached Greece, people like Pythagoras and his followers, they took it to the next level. They advanced whatever was there. Not only that, but when it reached Islam, there were scholars who took geometry also to the next level. So it's very important to what? To document. Very important to document. And if you are not learned, it's difficult for you to what? To come and decipher or decode the documents that are before you, right? So that is why it's important for you to learn, especially to read and write basic things. When you learn to read and write, you can expand your own knowledge. Okay, so we spoke about Greece and Mesopotamia. We spoke about Egypt, and then there was Rome as well. So in Rome, people were more trained to be politicians than anything. In Greece, they were trained to be philosophers and scholars. And then when ancient Rome comes in, then you have people being trained to be politicians. And then there's the Industrial Revolution, where now people there's a demand of learned workers in the industries. So the demand now was to say, okay, we want people who can read and write in this factory so that we can teach them how to operate this machine or something like that. So that was the big demand. So education has been evolving due to technological advances, due to the demand of whatever is happening at the time, and it's gonna continue to evolve because technology keeps on coming. And yeah, all right, so we get to understand the history of education to say it is easier to work with somebody in an industry who doesn't need you all the time, apprenticeship, who can learn on their own. So you can give them, you can give them a session and then give them some stuff to read, which is what most universities are now. Okay, so education used to be for the elite, so it wasn't for everyone. Private education has been there for a very long time. It's only once we have the Industrial Revolution that governments decided, oh, we really need to equip our people, and we got public schools. And that takes us to our next point, right? Public schools versus private schools. Ooh. Let me try and expand this. So I'm gonna try to make it in the context of South Africa, okay? Because it might be different somewhere, and generalizing something will never ever work. It will never ever work. Okay. So it's public versus private schools. So the government saw a need for people to be educated and made education mandatory, meaning that you have to go to your primary school, and now you don't have an excuse to say I don't have the money to actually pay for a private school and stuff like that. They can actually compensate you in that way, so they can pay the teachers on your behalf. And now in South Africa, you can even get to eat in a primary school. I'm not sure about a high school, but in a primary school they offer you things like food, and yeah, so that you don't have to be worried about how hungry you are or what you don't have at home. At least you can get a meal while you're learning at school. This is a public school, right? So public versus private. A lot of people are saying that private schools are great. They have education that is way advanced than the public school. And I'm not here to argue with that. I'm just here to showcase why that might be. Okay? So, if it's a private school, it means normally it pays teachers more, right? It pays more, right? This is a private school. So, if you pay more, you're gonna attract a lot of talent. Attract talent. Why? Because people want to live comfortably, and we've seen teachers, somebody who taught you grade one, 10 years later, they're still in the same position or having advanced much when it comes to finances or the things that they want to achieve in life. And I think that is the biggest reason why a lot of people don't want to be teachers now, and we have this huge gap of, you know, lack of teachers in schools. So private schools pay more money, and that means they will attract the best teachers. Let's start there. Okay, that's the first point. The second point is that private school teachers are more accountable. More accountable than the guys in public schools. I mean, I used to attend a public school, and the teacher would not care at all, and she would be like, whether you guys play or not, my money clocks at the end of the month. So you see the level of accountability is very low. So it will be difficult for them to actually do their work because they don't account. As long as they're seen in the classroom, doesn't matter, right? Another point is that even if you have the best teacher in a public school, how many students are they teaching? Public schools normally have a lot of students in just one class. So you cannot expect the teacher to give 56 students the attention that they need. It's not possible. It's not possible. In a private school, you find a class of 19 people, 10 people even. So compared to that, I mean, if I'm dealing with 10 students, I can easily detect who is lacking in what, and I get to help them easily, and I don't have to, I mean, I don't spend a lot of time helping them even. So that's another point, that most private schools are so exclusive that people are unable to play, so they attract the minority or the rich, or which are not a lot, right? So teachers can get to play a mentor type of role as well. So a struggling student will have more time with the teacher than in a normal public school setting with another 23 students or 56 students, which is crazy, right? So you cannot expect the quality to be the same. Another point is that resources, very, very important, right? Yes, you have a great teacher in a public school who's doing wonderful work, who cares about the learners and try to, make sure that they're the best at what they do, and that they understand these things, and that they become great in life. But his resources are limited, right? He doesn't have the proper textbooks. Some of the textbooks are nearly destroyed. Some of the learners can't get the textbooks. Maybe they have like 20 textbooks, which five of people are sharing during class, and some of the textbooks are not, are destroyed, like I said. So how do you expect this person to do this? While in a private school, you'll find every single learner has a tablet, and while the teacher is there, they get to see these things in real time. So it is that type of situation. I mean, public schools are are so under resourced that even the teachers who teach there decide to send their children to private schools because they get to see the problems. If I am a great teacher and I trust in the system that I'm using, and I trust in the curriculum of the school, and I trust in the resources of the school, there's no way I will pay a lot of money to send my child somewhere whilst I can do a better job, and that is my profession. So I would rather have them at the school that I teach, where I trust that my colleagues will make my children the best at whatever they want to pursue, right? At the languages at the subjects that they're teaching. So that's another issue: resources. Public schools are under resourced. So it takes a whole lot of money for a school to operate well and to bring quality. And once you speak to the parents in a public school to donate things, what happens is that to complain, you guys are always want money, you want money for this, you want money for that. So that's another problem. And I understand that's because of affordability. These parents cannot afford. They can't afford. The problem now is you want to you want to order extra books, or you want to have a computer in school or something like that, and these parents cannot afford. It's not even in the budget of the school. So how do you navigate that? That's another problem. That's why we need people to donate to schools. If you went to a specific school, right? If you went to a specific school and you are having a lot of money, or you are having enough money, donate to that school, because you went through that system and you know how under resourced it is. If it's not money, donate a computer, donate a tablet, donate internet, for example. You can just decide to help them with fiber. I mean, fiber is really affordable now. We have a lot of households that have it. Why don't you think? Why don't you donate that service to them, so that they connect and they get to have more resources? My kids are very fortunate. They can come home and find fiber at home, and they have internet at school as well. But imagine a child who doesn't even have internet at home. They don't have internet at school. So they can't reach to places like YouTube, right? Where you get to learn so many things for free almost, and other e-learning platforms, right? So there's a lot of e-learning platforms that can help when it comes to this. So donating fiber can go a long way. A child can stay at the school after school and go through a video, or go through an interactive, and learn the subject even more. But we're still at a point where even data is expensive. But imagine if we, the people who went through the school, come together and try to donate. Hopefully the principal of that school will see the vision, because some people don't accept such things. I mean, I remember going to this other village, I won't disclose it, and we wanted to do something to help out in the village academically, and we had a meeting with the chief, and you know it was a problem. Their worry was that some of the things that we wanted to bring in might attract thieves and there will be crime, and you get what I'm saying. So it was difficult for us to navigate between preserving the culture that is there, preserving their ways, preserving also the sovereignty of the king, and bringing in new things which might help them economically, and social capital wise. Okay, so those are some of the challenges that we might meet, and you have a meeting with the principal and then they don't really see the vision and they feel like, oh, this is only gonna waste our time. Okay, so yeah, but have a meeting with the school and find out what you can donate something, donate whatever it is that you have. I'm not saying stretch yourself. I understand that things are expensive now and these interest rates keep rising. So if you have a mortgage, you have a loan, you have all these things, they keep getting more expensive because of the interest rate. I understand that, but yeah, I mean, we have inflated food prices, but wherever you can, at the time that you can, please donate. I mean, a lot of people go to churches and donate a whole lot of money. Why not some of that money you send to an unfortunate school? It doesn't even have to be the school that you went to. Take it to an unfortunate school and you will be improving the quality of education for how many learners? Imagine one class having 54 learners and they have 3 classes per grade. How many? I mean, in a primary school where it's just 7 grades or whatever, but it's still a whole lot of change. Imagine that change. So yes, we understand that a whole lot of kids that are coming out of public schools are struggling, especially with articulation and with other cultural things like confidence and stuff like that. And they differ so much from the private school. But why don't we try to help the public schools out? That's all I'm saying. If we do, we get to have more motivate people who are motivated, and in an environment like that, there is excellence. All right, it brings me to the next point. Okay, where's my eraser? Okay, brilliant students underachieving. This is a big problem, bro. Like, it's a huge issue. Brilliant students underachieving. There are students who is obvious, evident that these people are brilliant, but they are operating under their capacity, or they are, they are not operating within their potential. And it can be due to a lot of things. One might be they get bored. they get bored in school because the curriculum is not that challenging, right? Or they get told that they're geniuses so much, get told that they're brilliant, so much that they develop bad study habits, develop bad studying habits, right? So they no longer see a necessity for them to study. They're like, I'm a genius, I'm intelligent, so why should I bother going to school, right? Another one could be that they're bullied a lot. So if you look at a lot of students who are naturally brilliant, they have different interests than the rest of the group. Okay? So that makes it difficult for them to fit in the environment. And because they can't fit in, because they feel like outcast, because they feel they're not understood, they attract bullies and people bully them a lot. So they sometimes change or act like they are not brilliant, so that they can fit in, they can appear to be cool, they can appear to be relatable and things like that. And that's another issue. Okay, so we have to be able to support them develop social skills. You don't have to have the same interest as somebody in order for you to relate to them. It might be difficult, but it's not impossible for you to relate to them. So they have to learn social skills where they can still hang out with people, if they can get that support, of course, in schools. But like I said, a lot of public schools are, under resourced. So it might be a difficult thing to do there, and people are trying to hustle to get out of their poverty and stuff like that. So they need support. You find somebody who can teach them how to connect with others without them compromising who they are, or acting like they're not, or they're dumb, or they're not that brilliant in order for them to fit in with the rest of the group. And these people, we need such people. And if they are operating way under their potential, then it is highly likely that we might lose them. And the country needs brilliant people in order for them to solve a whole lot of our issues. Issues cannot be solved by a political party or by a government alone. They need the people, they need the population. And if you have a population with a quality education and who are not performing under their potential, then you get to have transformation, you get to have advancements in your community and wherever it is, right? Of course, still respecting, the development of the villages should be according to the village context. We're still respecting traditions, still respecting cultures, and we are not trying to look like a township or a suburb, but we are developing our own architectures that sets the village apart, or that sets the community apart. This thing of going to Venda and it's like I'm in PE, or I'm like in Tata, or then I go to Polokwane. It is so much similar. It is not good. The landscape should, inform us on what type of buildings we need, and our culture as well, our identity, so that we can be unique. And when you are unique, you are attracting tourists. People will flock from all over the world to come and see the spaces that you have created, right? And that brings in money, that brings in an opportunity to create hotels, recreational facilities where people can pay and stuff like that. It's another form of development, right? So, yeah, I think I'm out of learning, but my point was to say your learning should be constant, right? Always be learning in whatever form. If you can't afford schools, I mean, right now we have parents who send their children to universities and they're crying, saying that we spend so much money on education and our kids are sitting in school, or they're working in retail where they're not even making a quarter of the amount of student loans and stuff like that, right? Which is a problem. I understand the cry, the frustrations, because people don't want to live in debt and people want to overcome financial challenges. So, what was my point? Okay, the idea that people are crying. Imagine if we are having those type of economic uh, endeavors, as I mentioned, with a simple thing such as being unique in creating buildings, right? We won't have to be crying because we will have a lot of innovative people, and we will have tourism, and we'll have all these things, which means jobs, right? Maybe even better jobs. Okay, so we need to think about such things to say we are not gonna be copycats. Let somebody fly from New York to go and see Garangua, go and see Hampahlele, go and see Mtanzani, go and see Guatema or something like that, because it is wonderful and it is unique and it has its own culture, its own experience. You can't find that experience anywhere else but there, right? So this will help us in developing those jobs where you know people won't just cry to say, what is the point of me sending my child to school and spending so much money if they might find a job after 10 years and it's not even the job that they studied for, right? Because if you look at so many people currently in the country, most of them went to university, but they're working a job that they didn't go to school for. And that is another problem, right? Okay, so I think I spoke a lot. Okay, so we are on 44 minutes. On my last point, I wanted to talk about two individuals. One is Somizi, right? So we had a racist incident that happened at the beginning of the year, and Somizi was this invited by a TV channel, I won't name them, to come and speak about racism. but a lot of people were crying, were saying that no, you should call a professional, Somizi is not a professional, and stuff like that. And at the back of my mind, I'm asking a question to say, wait, so if does it mean that I have to be a professional for me to know what racism is? Because you'll find that I'm facing more racism than that professional. So I know it firsthand. I know how it affects me. I know how it affects my finances, my mental health, and all these kind of things. So why do I need to go and learn psychology or something like that, or study racism in school for me to be for me to be qualified enough to talk about it? I think I'm qualified enough to talk about it because I face it all the time. So I didn't understand the argument. What was the argument about? Right? What's the argument about? Because Somizi doesn't have accreditation that says he understands racism, then he can speak about it. So those are some of the things to say. People are experiencing real things, and they can give us a more comprehensive understanding of the what is this, the concept. So we must never dismiss anyone, especially if we didn't give him a chance to actually say something. I understand that people are frustrated with the idea that the celebrities are taking over everything and they're involved in everything, and this celebrity culture is, dishonoring, what's this, other professions. I understand that, but that doesn't mean that a celebrity does not know something. Like I said, something like racism doesn't need a qualification for you to know. Do you think that those two boys who were being bullied at the swimming pool are qualified to talk about racism? Is that what you are saying? So they can never talk about their experience because they never studied it somewhere, or they're not professionals in that field. That's crazy. They have to talk about it. We have to give them a platform, and we need to be sensitive enough so that we can get the lessons out of it, because they're the ones who experienced it, they're the ones who faced it, right? All right, another person I wanted to talk about is Mmusi Maimane. Right, I'm wrapping up, guys. I'm wrapping up. Like I said, I don't like long videos. I think we can talk about learning all day because I'm a constant learner. I'm always learning. Mmusi Maimane, I don't know how they write it. Double M or what? He used to be the leader of the DA. I don't know what he does now. So he was called on an interview with this anchor, a news anchor, and then he said a point that, well, the argument was the 30% pass, right? 30% pass that happens now at school. So he gave a point to say he won't be comfortable with a pilot that only knows 30% of the job. Well, at first I was like, no, this guy is dope. But then I got to think about it, and I'm like, if you get 30%, there's no way that you will be allowed in a field like you becoming a pilot. There is no pilot school that will take you. None whatsoever. So this 30% doesn't mean anything, because it only applies where I understand that we have set our standard very low, but this is more concerning to the students than the nation. Why am I saying this? You are used to passing with 30% in high school. Then you go to a university and the pass rate is not 30%, bro. And for you to get into an elite university, there's no way that you can get in with 30% pass. No way. Well, in a college, maybe in a college, but there's no one who's gonna be a pilot from 30%. So that is what I'm trying to say. As much as they lower this thing, they are killing these students who are used to saying, I'm just gonna study enough for me to be in the Madoda scores. And when they get to the university environment, it's gonna be crazy because that is not the case. And now they have to adopt to a certain way of doing things because the culture is different. So much culture shock. The environment is different. And most students find it difficult, especially in the first year. They find it extremely difficult to adapt to the place, right? But even with that 30%, you're not gonna win in a university. So nobody's gonna give you a qualification because of 30%. This 30% only applies in high school, not at a university level. And there's no university that will take you 30%. Okay? So, as much as we are crying about this low level, and for me, I don't think the problem is not the percentage. The problem is the curriculum completely. The curriculum is the problem. So there's a university professor who was with a student who got 100% in maths, 100% in mathematics, 100% in science. That is physics, chemistry, and everything combined together. But then when he sat down and spoke to this person, he was very disappointed to say, oh man, I was so excited to speak with this person about concepts that I love and know. And it's unfortunate. They can't articulate the things that they learned. It was just a cram and pass type of situation. They were not studying to master what was going on, right? And I'm touching another point which will lead us to go over an hour, and I don't want us to do that. Cramming and passing, right? So, like I said, the problem is not the percentage. It is the quality of the curriculum. If in you getting 30%, you are able to understand those concepts, that you are able to apply them in your own life. I mean, how many children right now who have passed matric or who have gone to university understand how to apply a quadratic equation in their life, or a linear equation, or just a simple algebraic equation? The fact that this expression is equals to that, most of them can't even relate to it. So the problem is relations as well. They don't know where to apply it in their lives. So if you have somebody who gets to teach them how to apply calculus and be able to, the things that they set in motion in life, they are now able to relate to with calculus and make their own calculations and not have to rely on technologies and apps and stuff like that. And they get to navigate better because they understand triangles, or they get to understand balance or in architectural structures or whatever because they know geometry. Then we can be talking another story now, because these people this means that these people can go out there and create their own structures. So that it means we're gonna have entrepreneurs right out of the school. So the quality of education is within what is being taught, not in the percentage that people get. Imagine a person getting 100%, but they can't even articulate it. I'm saying if you're getting 30% and you are able to take that equation, or you are able to formulate your own equations to solve problems, daily problems in your life, then I'm telling you that is a thumbs up. Let's do that. Application is the best thing. All right. So, yeah, I wanted to talk about, as you can see, I'm a bit passionate about this subject. I wanted to talk about learning. Maybe we'll do another one. I'm not sure. But the future of learning and how it's being delivered will be changed dramatically by virtual reality and artificial intelligence. And I feel like that will be a great leveler between those who are resourced and those who are under resourced. And like I said, it will change dramatically. People will be able to get education, the quality of education that they have to get in their lives, in order for them to be progressive, for them to be pioneers, for them to be innovative. All right. So, yeah, please subscribe to the Deepina podcast, buy the book. And yeah, here you don't have to subscribe, but whatever you do here is welcome. All right. Thank you so much for your time. It's your boy, Mr. R. I'm out.